strengthen the ties, and especially the economical ties and the in trade, of course. And they discussed as well the current situation in the region and the international and regional issues, international crisis, the Ukrainian crisis, and of course the war in Gaza Strip. To shed more light about this, we are glad to have on the phone His Excellency Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good morning, Your Excellency.
Good morning to you.
Would you please just clarify to us a little bit concerning the relationship and the bilateral ties between Egypt and the Czech Republic?
Well, as we mentioned before, I mean, the Czech Republic is one of the oldest countries that we exchange diplomatic relations with. We recently, a few years ago, celebrated 100 years of diplomatic relations between Egypt and Czechoslovakia. At the time, that started in 1920. And accordingly, we are celebrating 100 years of diplomatic relations. There is also a very important aspect of this relation that is a turning point in the arming of the Egyptian army, what happened in 1955 and 1956, which is known as the Czech Arm Deal. And this was a turning point of for the Egyptian army when we had our first deal with the Czechoslovakian Republic at the time, and in our quest to diversify the sources of our weaponry in Egypt. Besides that, of course, the relations, whether diplomatically, politically, or economically, has evolved over the years. The Czech Republic is considered one of our main suppliers of vehicles and about many tractors as well, and they have some investment in Egypt, as well as Egypt is also investing there. And recently we've seen that there is a very good potential in having relations in the field of exchanging technologies, and also in green energy and other economical aspects that Egypt is seeking to provide to its people. So actually the relation is flourishing, and I'm sure that the phone call of yesterday between the Czech President and His Excellency President Sisi was a very important call in the course of events that we are seeing in the region right now. And as we have all seen, Egypt has become, since the 7th of October, because of its efforts, it has become the mecca of all countries who want to know firsthand what is the exact situation in Gaza and about the Palestinian cause and the two-state solution that Egypt is advocating for. There are so many things, and actually Egypt is the only country that could be consulted on such an issue.
Yeah, Your Excellency, could you please just also elaborate to us how the visions of the two countries collaborate together, especially in concerning with the regional crisis, above all, of course, the crisis in Gaza Strip and the escalating situation over there. They both agreed upon the immediate ceasefire and the flow of the humanitarian aids, of course, especially the food and foil to the Strip.
Well, actually, the Czech Republic has been one of the countries who expressed their solidarity, although that recently the Czech Republic has been leaning more towards the Israeli narrative regarding this issue. However, when it comes to the humanitarian aspect, the Czech Republic was very concerned about knowing the latest events and how Egypt is dealing with the crisis at the political and humanitarian level, taking into account the centrality of the Egyptian role in this regard, whether at a regional or international level. And of course, President Sisi, as we read, has expressed his concern about the Israeli position. And I think it's very important that we explain to have been known as the supporters and the friends of Israel how dangerous the Israeli path is becoming. And that's one of the benefits of having such a conversation between the two presidents, especially that the Czech Republic is an important country of the EU. And accordingly, it's very important to express our concerns regarding this issue, whether we are talking about the Palestinian cause itself or its repercussions on Egypt itself and on our economy. We should not forget that although traditionally we've been a supporting country for the Palestinian and for the Palestinian rights and the two-state solution, but there are repercussions that are attacking our own economy at its core. I mean, we all know about the problems that we are suffering from at the level of the Suez Canal, at the level of economy, and of course on our eastern borders, which are a strategic border for us that has to be kept safe for the security, for the national security of Egypt. So it is very important, this phone call, in order to explain exactly what is the Egyptian position, not just to the Czech as a bilateral issue, but also on an international level and on a EU level, of course.
Yeah, the escalation in Gaza is actually is moving around, especially with the bombardment and the missiles of the Israeli occupation on daily basis. And the doctors over there are fighting the time to risk the people, and actually in most of the designated safe zones. So are we still, is it still possible to talk about peace? I mean, to approach the comprehensive and just and peace in the region?
I think our leadership is still seeing it this way, and actually he confirmed that His Excellency the President Sisi yesterday to his counterpart, which his Czech counterpart, when he insisted on the importance of unifying the international effort to reach a peaceful solution and immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. So at least on the level of our leadership, we still believe in a peaceful solution as a sole way and path to reconciliate and to calm the situation. However, as we've seen 2 days ago in the new massacre, one that should be also added to the long record of Israeli massacres and war crimes against the Palestinian people, the Mawasi massacre, and how Israel is dealing with the issue, as it has dealt with it since the 7th of October, that is making life for Palestinians impossible in the Gaza Strip and also in the West Bank, in order to possibly displace the Palestinians out of these areas. However, what is important here to see is the Israeli pattern in doing such massacres, that in order to kill one Hamas activist, which is Mohammed al-Deif, they didn't mind killing hundreds of Palestinians in order to reach him in a failed attempt to kill him. Although he is already summoned by the International Court of Justice, just like Prime Minister Netanyahu and his Minister of Defense. The three of them are actually supposed to be called by the International Criminal Court, I'm sorry, not the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court. So accordingly, Israel should respect the international law and of course the international humanitarian law. However, as we've seen in recent reports, that there is very few countries who actually, I'm talking about the traditionally allies of Israel, who have withdrawn themselves, who have distanced themselves from the Israelis' atrocities, and they are still...
And I believe we all watched the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. He was so proud in his press conference after assassination of Eldif. And I mean, he asserted this and he confirmed that the assassination is actually a great part and a big part of the Israeli policy.
You are totally right.
On any coast,
Israel is very proud of what it's doing. Yeah. And unfortunately, the Western allies are supporting this. Not one country has stopped its arming to Israel since the 7th of October, including, of course, the United States and the EU countries, except maybe one or two countries. But most of them, the mainstream Western countries, are still considering Israel as in a state of self-defense and still arming Israel, although it's coincident with I want even to make a comparison with the phone call of yesterday between the Czech president and our President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, when they mentioned the Russia-Ukrainian war and the repercussions of this war and how the EU and the Western Bloc are taking this since it's an invasion to a foreign country and how they are taking it the right way. And Egypt actually supported this act. If we all remember at the beginning, we condemned the Russian action towards Ukrainian because we don't have double standards. We have just one standard, which shows that when there is an aggression from a country against another entity, we condemn that. And that's why we condemn the Russian when they did that, and we condemn as well the Israelis in what they are doing. But when it comes to the Western Bloc, it's a totally different issue. Because what they see in Russia is that it's an aggressor, as it should be called, but when it comes to Israel, no, it's a self-defense case, and even though the massacres that is forcing the International Court of Justice to call it a very possible genocide, and yet we are not seeing this reflected in the actions of the Western administrations about boycotting or about putting sanctions on Israel because of its actions. So, I mean, the yesterday call in itself is a reminder of how the Western Bloc is looking at both issues differently, although the core of them is more or less the same.
Yeah, Your Excellency, one quick question. I know it's an international call, and we really do appreciate. It's actually concerning the exchanging narratives in the Ukrainian-Russian crisis. How do you just find it?
Well, exactly, as I was just saying, I'm glad that you are asking this question, because this is exactly the narrative that we are talking about, that there are two set of narratives that are totally different, although the cause is the same. We have an aggressor and oppressed people on the other hand, and you deal with them as a Western Bloc that it's a totally outrageous thing, to the point that you are seeing the same exact comments that are directed towards the Russian are totally different when it comes to Israel. I mean, look at President Biden when he is talking about attacking civilian entities such as schools or electricity power station and so on, and how he is describing this as terrorist acts from the Russians. But when Israel is doing them, he turns a blind eye to that. Unfortunately, this is the double standard that we are talking about, and that we hope that the West will actually snap out of his political vision and see things according to international law and according to what it should really be called. And at this point only, we will see a different position from the Western country. Before that, Israel will continue to do what it's doing because it sees in the Western Bloc, which are very strong and very powerful economically and politically countries, they see in this country a support to what it's doing, since the armament is still going on and the diplomatic support is still blocking the international community from taking any actions against Israel. So accordingly, Israel will continue what it's doing, since it's enjoying the support of the Western countries.
Yep. Yes, Your Excellency, Ambassador Medhat Meligy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you for being with us and have a nice day. Well, we'll come back after this.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with world leaders. أعبر لكم عن خالص الشكر والتقدير على حفاوة الاستقبال وكرم الضيافة.
Reaffirming Egypt's vision, delivering our voice abroad.